to interrupt remotely here, but thank you for joining us over at the stadium this morning. Thank you for joining us for the press conference this morning ahead of tomorrow's round of 32 match with Toluca. We'll get started with questions there in the room. And since you and Luis are already chatting, Luis, we'll go ahead and lead off with you if you would like.
Yeah, Coach, I was wondering, how does the game change when you go from, you face Atlas, then you face Real Salt Lake, now you're facing Toluca. So I guess kind of a two-parter. When you do face the two Mexican clubs, do they differentiate drastically or do they have similar styles? And then when you come back in between, you play an MLS club, how does the game just kind of change between facing different opponents like that?
We don't get too caught up in necessarily whether it's a Mexican team or a team from the MLS. It's more just about identifying who they are and their strengths and weaknesses. And this is what we did for Salt Lake. We're more familiar with them, so we end up having to spend more time on a Toluca or an Atlas. And in this case, Toluca shows some things that we haven't seen in a while. Again, a very, very solid team all around. High, quality individuals all over the field. A very aggressive attack. The amount of numbers that are being thrown at you is somewhat extreme and difficult to handle. Of course, when you do something extreme, it gives some vacancies and some opportunities for us. So we got to find that balance of making sure we respect them and understand what they're going to do, but also be ourselves and play the way we can at home. And if we do that, I think we'll make this an interesting contest. And that's I think that's what it is. It's going to be interesting. I'm not necessarily sure how this one plays out. Because a little bit unfamiliar with them and how they go about it, but I know it's a challenge that we as a staff are looking forward to, and the players, because we understand the quality that they possess. For me, looking at the Mexican League, at least the start and following it, they're as good as they come in that league, and I think in our region right now. The resources are there, they're spending a lot of money, and they're spending it wisely.
To follow up on that, talking to Eric, he mentioned they might throw 6 guys at you, attacking-wise, and you mentioned it's a little bit extreme. How do you prepare for something like that? It is extreme or maybe rare.
Well, it's hard to deal with. So you have to, again, find a balance of reacting to them, but also being yourselves and threatening. And if again, the extreme one side leaves some areas of vulnerability. So that's the balance. And listen, we can prepare them all we want, and the whistle blows. And we have to make decisions, and we have to make split-second decisions that can either help us or hurt us. This is the game of soccer, and that's the beauty of it. The problem solving in real time is a important thing in soccer, and we have experienced guys that understand our principles, but also that sometimes the principles go out the window when you have to react and adapt. It's no magic solution.
Last one for me, Coach. An update on Koko. How's he doing? And you expect to have him back soon?
Soonish. Yeah, soonish. Certainly not. I don't know if he's going to factor into the League's Cup, but you never know. You never know.
Okay, guys, we'll go ahead and change over to questions on Zoom. If there's none of your questions for them, please put the raise your hand button and I'll get you in. Don't be shy here. Here we go. Dustin, thank you. Your line is open. Dustin, you can go ahead.
Hey, man.
Dustin.
Hey, we've seen a little bit of Lawrence in this sub appearances. Just how do you think he is fitting into the team, and how do you see the differences with him and Ibra?
Ponce and Anali, you see how comfortable they have. As each game progresses, you see that they're more comfortable in playing and the relationships around them, and also their just general fitness. So we're still working on both of those things, and that will continue over the next couple weeks. till they're really up to speed physically and, again, starting to create some of those relationships. So I thought he did great in the first game. Great, very good in the first game. Great would have been finishing off a play or two. And I thought he came in and played even better in the minutes against Salt Lake, and better in not necessarily the attacking side. I think it's very evident how comfortable he is with the pace, with the 1v1 stuff, running without the ball, coming inside and combining. He's technically sound. That stuff was similar and evident in the first game as it was in the second game. Defensively, I thought he took a step forward in the Salt Lake game and understanding what we're asking of him to do without the ball. And that was really exciting to see, as attacking wide players don't always possess that ability. And we ask our guys to do a lot of work in the way we defend out wide. And contrasting him and Ibra, they're both they're different. Physically, Ibra's bigger, stronger, and I think is at this point more well versed in our defensive structure and gives a real up and down mentality that may make sense for certain games. But it's a nice competition out there, and we've said this from the get-go. We haven't had this enough with this club, is real competition at spots. Too many times we know who our 11 is, and we know 11 is going to be the next week, and it's healthy to have that. It makes some sleepless nights, and I got to manage some personalities because everybody wants to be on the field. But by and large, that type of competition helps. So we'll see how that goes. He's going to continue getting in games or starting games, and that healthy competition hopefully pushes us forward, as it is in the number 9 spot. We still got Sebas Ferreira chomping at the bit. He did well when he came in and scored some goals. Obviously, Ponce's going to be our starter. But there's the more we can add up someone behind them that's pushing them in their spot, the better.
Just one more for me. You talked about a little bit there with the competition. We saw Andrew in goal the last game. Just what goes into the kind of thought process between Steve and Andrew? I know you said you have basically 2 starting goalkeepers.
Well, over the last year and a half, Steve has done a great job for this club, and he's our starter. So, there's no kind of controversy there. I view Andrew as a starting goalkeeper in this league. We're very lucky to have both those players, and they're very supportive of each other. And Andrew needs games every now and then to make sure he's sharp, to make sure he's ready to go when he's called on. But that's also a healthy competition where he's pushing Steve every day, and I think that's important, as Steve would tell you, to have somebody that keeps him on his toes. You got anything for me?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Hey, Coach, I don't know if you already talked about, do you have an update on Koko?
Yeah, Koko's probably not going to be in, most likely not in the League's Cup. We hope, maybe towards the later stages if we keep rolling, but most likely he's on the shelf probably until we start the League up. But we'll see.
And after watching what Toluca offers and the quality of their players, would you say this is like the toughest Mexican team you have faced so far?
Yeah, no question. Yeah, I think I was just saying before, I think they're as good as any team right now in the, certainly in our region, and even maybe going into South America. I think I've said they've spent a lot of money, and they've spent it wisely on high-quality players, and the depth of the group is pretty impressive. They could switch out 3 or 4 players, and I don't know if they'd miss a beat. But that's exciting to us. That's exciting to our players and our staff, and preparing for them. And we're at home, and we want to show that we're one of the best teams in North America. So that's the challenge ahead of us.
Tomorrow, everybody's talking about how hard it's going to be. After the time that you spent here, is the weather and that climate an advantage? You will say by now Houston Dynamo can take it a little further?
I've been to Mexico a few times. It's pretty hot down there. So I don't know, what the forecast is over in Toluca and what they're used to, but yeah, it's hot. Some of that heat ends up changing the complexities of the game, and I do think it's important to value the ball and making sure it's not a end-to-end game, as they've got some very dangerous attackers. So we've got to make really, really good decisions when we break their pressure and make sure that we're the team with the ball as much as possible. So it does change, as it gets hot. Again, those decisions, the decision-making with the ball is critical.
We'll go back over to Zoom now to Orlando Castellan. Orlando, you should be able to unmute your line now.
Coach, Orlando Castellan here.
How are you?
You've already said about not knowing much about your Liga MX opponent. How hard will it be to face off against Toluca, knowing that they've been playing very well? Do you feel at a disadvantage because you're not as familiar with the Liga MX teams in this tournament? Thank you.
Well, they're not familiar with us either, so we're all in the same boat here. And we've put a lot of time and energy in them the last 2-3 days. Not only that, we knew that they potentially were going to be one of our targets, so we have guys behind the scenes working on them. So when we hit the ground after Salt Lake, we have a full dossier on them. So in this modern age, you can find out a lot about teams quickly. And so I don't know if there's an advantage one way or the other. I think we're essentially in the same boat. They don't know about us, and so we'll see. This is why the game's being played. There's a lot of hype around the team, and they're getting a lot of, I think, credit for what they're doing right now, and again, what they're spending, and again, spending on really good quality players. They seem balanced. They seem well coached. So we'll have our hands full. Make no mistake about it. We have a lot of respect for them, and we understand the hype. But we also got a team in there that believes that they can beat anybody, and I'm just looking forward to for the whistle to blow and see what happens.
Your line should be open, and this is a heads up, Guppy. Wait, 2 questions from you. Remind me to cut this in so that you can clear that room there as well.
Perfect. Just one question from you, man. Good morning, good afternoon.
Good morning.
Wanted to know, you obviously don't go into the game thinking of peak pace, but as the team practices, thinking ahead, and how does this knockout mentality prepare your squad for a MLS playoff push later in the year?
Well, I think the Open Cup and Leagues Cup last year gave us a taste of that and helped us, I think, advance into the playoffs, into the Western Conference Finals. No doubt that helped us. So these moments in knockout competition where it's win or go home. It's a nice preview before you get to the playoffs. So hopefully we can continue it and move forward and get past this talented Toluca team.
Does it give you an extra motivation, extra energy, playing a talented team such as Toluca? And speaking with your head coach, they have the mutual respect for the Houston Dynamo, for you and your players as well. So does it give you that extra motivation or energy, pep in training to face high-quality teams like this?
I think as coaches and players, I think you always want to face, high-level teams and put yourself against kind of, again, the quote-unquote the best teams in the region. And this is certainly one of them. And as I said, but our players, I think they're excited about that opportunity in the right way. I think they respect them, but I've tried very hard for this team to fear teams going into games, and they just won't do it. They just don't have that gene in them, and I love that about them, and that's contagious to me and the staff. And again, we're looking forward to, again, the whistle blowing and getting this on, because I think it's two good teams in good form. We are at home though, and you know, that's where we've played our best stuff. So I hope it's an entertaining game. I hope it's one that's fun to watch for people, in particular our fans and maybe some new fans that are coming to watch Toluca. And I hope we win. So we'll see.